Are you coachable? Today, I chat with baseball coach Claudio Reilsono, who coaches at Carnegie Mellon University. He will discuss the keys to becoming a better coach, as well as being open and receptive to receiving feedback to enhance your skills. So tune in to learn valuable insights, stories on how to maximize your potential and drive success in both coaching and your personal development. So grab your dance shoes and let's head to the dance floor. Ciao, I'm Anna Harsh, professional dancer, author, and host of the Dance Floor podcast, the podcast that offers you advice, tips, and unique ways to find those life lessons that improve our lives. So grab your dance shoes and join me on the dance floor. Welcome, everyone. I'm here with my special guest, Claudio Reilsono. Welcome to the dance floor, Claudio.
Anna, thank you so much for having me on. I've been looking forward to doing this, so thank you.
I'm so excited to talk to you because I know that you are the head baseball coach at the Carnegie Mellon University, correct?
Yes, I am. 19 years.
Yeah. Wow, that's a long time to coach.
It is. Well, I've been coaching 41 years total. I started when I was 18, and I've been CMU now for 19, and I'm also general manager and pro baseball scout for the Global Scouting Bureau for 23 years. So I've been on a good little run.
Yeah, you've had an incredible career and lots of things we're going to get into today. And I know dancers that are listening are like, why are we talking to a baseball coach? But today I wanted to chat with you about how we can be more coachable and more receptive to those, incoming comments and feedback that we get, that critique that we get from our teachers or coaches. And then how we as teachers can be a better coach for our students or players. So let's talk about the first one. How can we be more coachable and receive that information and take it in and use it?
I know whenever I enter a business meeting or let's just stick to the business meetings. I don't want to be the smartest one in the room, as they say. But and sometimes I have been, and that's okay. But I'm always trying to learn something. I read constantly. And I'm always trying to pick things up. And sometimes a lot of the things that I say are quotes from the person who I read. And most of them are former athletes. But anyway, I think if you think you go into something knowing it all, you're not going to know it all. And you're not going to succeed. You're not going to improve. And once in a while, I've had a few players like that, or you come across a few business people like that. And I don't think that's good. I don't think it's healthy. Like I said, you always want to grow. So whenever you go into a meeting, whenever you go to dance class, whenever you go into baseball practice or whatever, you're looking to improve. Take advantage of that coach, that teacher, and what they accomplish, what they know. There might be something that can elevate you to the next level. So go into it with an open mind.
Right.
At the same time, like I said, there are some things that I'll read or like, for example, I've studied coaches, many coaches. A lot of things I like what they say and do. And maybe some things I won't do. So you kind of take what you feel can help you and some of the things that you don't like, but you have to do your research. Why don't you like it? Why doesn't it work for you? And then set that aside.
One passion, one mission, to preserve authentic Italian dance before it disappears. Dancer and author Anna Harsh brings you her two memoirs, La Danza and The Italian Dance Quest. Learn traditional dances from various regions of Italy. Read heartwarming stories of family traditions. These books will inspire you to preserve your traditions. Unlock the beauty of Italian dances and pick up your copies today. Visit annaharsh.com for more information.
Yeah, like I said, you want to go into it with an open mind and pick the things that you feel that can help you, that can take you to the next level. Sometimes something that a business person says or a coach maybe doesn't work for you or your team. For example, like me at Carnegie Mellon, I pretty much get what I get player-wise, and I try to make the best of it. Whereas some coaches say, if you don't do things the way I want, or if you don't perform a certain way, we'll get rid of you. I can't. I pretty much have to. Greg Norman, the golfer, he says, don't change people, change people. And I agree with that, but sometimes you can't do that. So you have to make the best of what you have.
You're right. I'm always leaving a class with something. They've given me something. And sometimes you do have to listen really closely, but you will find something that appeals to you, that makes you think a little bit differently, or that might challenge you. And don't take it as a bad thing, but is, oh, I'm growing. I've been challenged today, but I'm going to grow because of that. Whenever I find myself being challenged, I feel like, oh, I'm at a growth spurt. This is exciting. I'm going to get better for some reason or another.
So I have a huge notebook of whenever I would watch a game, a baseball game, and sometimes even a football game or basketball. But I'd watch stuff from years ago, and there'll be certain announcers, Jim Palmer, Jim Rooker, Joe Morgan, guys of that ilk. And I would write down little things that they would say that were just so common sense. Wow, I didn't think of that. But to be very honest with you, and no offense to the people today, I have not written a note in years because, and I'm trying to be open-minded, but I can see the things that they're talking about or teaching just aren't right.
Wow.
Then somebody might, like in baseball, in my opinion, and forgive me, but baseball coaching right now is, in my opinion, is not that good. Okay, it just isn't. And I could show you, for example, in hitting especially, the things that are being taught in hitting are absolutely ridiculous. And I can show you why they're ridiculous. You say, well, Claudio, these guys are in the major leagues. Well, what do you call a guy who finished last in med school? You call him a doctor, Or they say, well, everybody's teaching the same thing. Well, there's an old Italian saying, if 50,000 people say a stupid thing, it's still a stupid thing. So,
That's right. That's right. You're right. Yeah. I've even gained insights from bad teachers or bad instructors over the years. I learned how not to teach that way, or how not to instruct a student that way, or treat a student a certain way. So you do still learn things, even though they might be a bad coach or a bad class or a bad practice, maybe. You're still learning. So yeah, you do have to go in with an open mind. And I like that you said, do your research. That's always my number one. Every time I come across a new student, I'm like, have you done your research yet on the genre, on the teacher, on the place where that dance comes from? Do your research first and keep reading. Gosh, reading for sure. That is so important.
Point about learning from perhaps not a good coach. I've had a couple that not just weren't good X and O wise, but at least with me, didn't really treat me too well. And I learned from it. I learned a lot from it. How not that I would treat somebody that way anyway, but even the X and O part, I've learned what not to do. And sometimes that's just as important to know as to what to do.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I have a to-do list that's always like pros and cons, what to do as a teacher. So let's talk about the flip side. How can we as coaches or instructors be better, at coaching or at instructing, giving the best knowledge we have to our players or dancers?
Again, do your research. Don't just regurgitate what somebody else says and just take it as gospel and go on. If somebody says something, a coach, look at it, study it, research it. Is this person right? Is this coach right in saying what they are saying? And for example, in baseball, some people talk about hitting the lower half of the ball to create backspin. That's just not true. That is just not true. I've hit 6 million, to myself, throwing the ball to myself and hitting. I can't hit the lower half of the ball and create backspin. That's ridiculous. Or they have another phrase, let the ball travel deep, which is another dumb thing, okay? Because it just messes up the mechanics. So don't take their word for it. I don't care who it is.
Right.
Like, for example, whenever I teach something, I break it down and explain it. And I should. This is not an opinion. This is a fact, okay? Right. And I just break it down for them. So I think that's how we can become better coaches. And then this way you leave the player doesn't have questions. The player says, okay, he showed me or she showed me the right wrong. They said this is not an opinion, this is a fact. And they showed me on video, this is what it is. And another thing too, Anna, I try to keep everything common sense. And especially, for example, for a dancer or for a baseball player or any athlete, if they're struggling with something. You don't want to make it complicated. That just makes it worse.
Right.
So I try to keep everything simple, and I don't take for granted that they know what I'm talking about. So I really break it down in the simplest parts, because the goal isn't for me to come off as a genius or wordy, or I know the jargon. No, the goal is for me to help that person, help that player, help the pitcher, help the person, whatever. It's the same with dance. You can make things as hard as you want. And there's some people who like to, even in some business meetings sometimes, they come up with these terms, and then you're wasting time going on your phone. What the hell did they just say? Keep things simple and common sense. Years ago, I was asked to do a coach's clinic on hitting, and there's all kind of stupid things that are out there. So they said to me, what do you call what you teach? I said, I don't call it anything. It's just common sense. Bang. Common sense approach to hitting. That's it.
That's it. You said it right. You do have to keep things very simple and break things down. That's exactly what I do in a class, because I don't want them leaving with questions, and I want them to achieve. I want them to win if they're competing for, a dance competition or whatever it is, their goal for the day, for the practice, for the rehearsal or the class. I want your goals to be met, and I want you to succeed. However, you're right. There are those instructors out there that make up these crazy combinations that are way too hard for dancers and throw in these tricks that are incredible. Don't get me wrong, but they've skipped all the foundation of how to kick your leg, how to stretch, how to do whatever. And they're skipping a lot of steps. Do you see that in baseball as well? Like they're skipping to do, knock it out and a grand slam every time, and not just understanding the mechanics of maybe hitting or catching?
Drives me nuts. Let me backtrack. I am so grateful to be doing what I've been doing for the past 41 years. It was my dream since I was 8. Okay. But to watch a game now and to hear the announcers or to watch the coaches, it's like, it's almost like somebody saying to you, I want to lose weight. Okay. How do I lose weight? Go to Cheesecake Factory 5 days a week and eat 10 Reese cups a day. And I love Cheesecake Factory, trust me. And I love Reese cups. But that's going to make things worse. So in hitting, again, we'll just stick with the hitting. In Major League Baseball, it's hard to watch because it's strikeout, pop up, walk. Strikeout, pop up, walk. Oh, my God. And you would think, for example, even a struggling player, whenever he hits the ball well, he does this. Whenever he hits the ball poorly, he does this. You would think that a coach would say, hey, wait a minute. When your body's in this position, you pound the ball. Let's repeat that. Let's repeat that. It's common sense.
Right.
But I think sometimes people want to complicate things and I don't know if this is tying into what we're talking about, but kind of is. One of my best friends was a former pro wrestler, Vince Caplack. He was unbelievable. He would hit you in the middle of the ring, give you a forearm. Before you know it, he was on the turnbuckle, the corner, and then he would jump off the turnbuckle and land on you. But if you told him, Vinny, I want you to hit your opponent with the bottom third of your elbow, then do a 180 towards the ring, do a 60-40 transfer of your weight, which he probably is doing all this stuff.
Right.
60-40 transfer the weight, then jump. He'd have broke his neck. And it's almost like whenever I hit fungos, for those who don't know, is when a coach throws a ball to himself and hits the ball to the defensive player for practice. Well, apparently after I hit a fungo, I do a flip, with my bat, a little spin. So one of my players one time said, Coach, show me how to do it. I couldn't do it.
Right.
I couldn't do it.
Muscle memory habit.
Yeah. You start thinking. And I think people, they overthink. Even like dancing. Dancing to me is fluidity, is balance, athleticism. And if you throw a wrench in any of that, I think that's when you start looking bad. At least, obviously more than me.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's when it goes downhill for sure. And you want those transitions. You want to be fluid and you want to be flexible, agility. It's all those things that athletes want as well. We want to be fast. We want to be flexible. We want to be, ready to go. So how do you tell your players, because I struggle with this sometimes for dancers, when they're just having that off day, what do you say as a coach? What do you say as inspirational words, maybe to turn it around for them, or at least leaving them with, I'll do better tomorrow?
Human, what you did today poorly is not you. That just isn't you. It's just a bad day. Sugar Ray Leonard one time after a boxing match said, I picked a bad day to have a bad day. Okay?
Right.
But one thing that did happen one time, there was a high school kid locally who was going to play for me at CMU, and I saw him. He pitched a no-hitter. Man, this kid, I said, wow, he's coming to CMU. So he does come to CMU, and his first game, he was just wild. He was all over the place. He hit a batter, walked a couple. So I went to the mound, and he was shaking. His arm was shaking. I really thought he popped something in his elbow because it wasn't a tremble. It was like a real noticeable shake. And I said, are you okay? He goes, yeah, I'm just nervous. Now, this is right on the mound. I said, look, your father is a cancer doctor. His patients are the ones who should be nervous. You're pitching a ball game. Relax, and let me be nervous, not you. So I try to I try to put things in perspective. I tell my players, hey, my mom passed in my arms. That was hell because I adored my mother, absolutely adored my mother. So, you put things in perspective. Do I want to win every game? Every game? Of course I do.
Right.
But after the first couple of minutes that we lost, I said, okay, I'll move on to the next thing. Or if we have a bad game, or if I make a mistake as a coach, or if a player makes a mistake. One time last year, there was a game we were winning and we ended up losing. So after I made my comments, I asked a few of the players, any comments? And this one particular player, nice young man, he said, my old high school coach would have made us run after this loss like this. So I said, number one, your old high school coach, I've accomplished more in a week than he's accomplished his entire career. Number one. Number two, when making you guys run would have prevented that 425-foot home run you gave up? No. Would it have prevented that bunt that you fielded and threw away? No. Then what the hell's the sense of running? Punishment. Right. If somebody makes a mistake, I tell them what happened, what we need to do to fix it. That's it. And you move on. Simple as that. I mean, again, it goes back to, the old, what they call it, golden rule. You try to treat people how you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
And I find that works. Real quick, in my book, I have a story on my birthday years ago. There was a game that if we win this game, we were going to have the most wins ever at CMU. So I wanted that. But my players were saying, oh, it's coach's birthday. We got to win this game, right? So long story short, we're losing 8-0, right? Well, then we make this huge comeback, and we tie it up. So we have a runner at second base, Brett. I said, Brett, great job. You just tied the game up. Now, listen, if the ball is hit to left field, you score, you're the game-winning run. I'm going to send you. He says, okay, coach. If the ball goes to center field, I'm going to send you. Okay, coach. But if it goes to right field, he's playing up. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's already thrown out 2 runners today. We're keeping you here because we still have the heart of our order coming up. Do you understand me? Yes, coach, I got it. Brett, I'm not kidding. Left center, left field, center field, I'm sending you. As soon as the ball is hit to right, you stay plastered right here at third base. Do you understand? Yes, coach. Brett, I'm not kidding. Yeah, coach, I got it. If it's hit to right field, I'm not going. Okay. The ball is hit to right field. What do? I send him. I just told him not to go, but I send him. He was thrown out by a mile. And I'll never forget, Anna, I told the guys, it was last inning, I said, get me out of this. And they said, don't worry, coach, we'll get you. Well, we didn't. We lost. So we go to left field, and I always wear sunglasses when I coach, and my sunglasses were catching my tears. I was out of tears because I let this team down. So I told him, I had my head down, and I said, I'm sorry. I blew this game for you guys. You guys tried like crazy and had a great comeback, and I messed it up. I'm sorry. My pitcher, John, said, Coach, if I would have pitched better, we would have won. My catcher said, if I would have gotten that hit with runners on second and third, we'd have won. My center fielder, James, said, if I'd have caught that ball, and there's no way he should have caught that ball. But he said, if I'd have caught that ball, we'd have won. My point is, when they made mistakes, I didn't belittle them. I didn't embarrass them.
Right.
I didn't do that.
You're a team.
We fixed it. When I made a mistake, if I would have been bad to them, Anna, they may not have said it vocally, but they'd have said, good for him.
Right.
Good for you. But they didn't. So again, it's treating people properly.
Absolutely.
And try to fix it. That's the goal.
You want to arrive and also leave as a team. And it takes every single person on that team to make a win or a loss, right? We all are in it together.
We say we have to pull the same rope at the same time, the same direction for the same purpose. We'll get a great result. Exactly.
That's right. Tell us about your book before we wrap up.
It was the book's called Lead from the Heart Up, Not the Neck Up: How to Create a Positive Winning Culture on the Field and in the Office. And I got the title from my mom. My mom used to say, never speak from the neck up, speak from the heart up. And in other words, mean what you say, care about what you say and all that. So kind of did it with the leading part. We had a game one time against a particular team. It was on my birthday again. After the game, they were cussing each other out, the coach and the players and the coach. It was really bad. Meanwhile, my guys brought me a birthday cookie.
That's hilarious.
Said, why is it? And this happened to me a few years ago, but also years ago after a big game when I was at another college. I said it was a back and forth game and we won, and my players were hugging me and high-fiving me. And I said, why is it that my players listen to me and I'm approachable and they know that I care? And wanted to show leaders, not just in sports, but in anything, that you don't have to be an idiot. You don't have to be mean. When the time comes for you to get mad, I've gotten mad. I've gotten really mad, okay? But then it's over with. I don't let anybody walk on me, that's for sure.
Right.
And I want you to look forward to coming to practice. I want you to look forward to coming to the games. I don't want you to say, oh, geez, I got to see Claudio. I don't want that. Nor do I want to say that about you either.
Right.
So why can't we, people say, I don't care if they like me as long as they respect me. Well, why can't it be both?
Exactly.
So that's what the book is. It's about that. It's about a bunch of stories of how there was a few times I wasn't treated so well by some people that I worked for. There was some stories in there that where I sent the guy, stuff like that. They're all stories, things that happen to illustrate that if you give to the team and you care for the team, not just, their on the field performances, but off the field. I also had in the book about 27 former players. I said, write whatever you want about our relationship. And I was blown away a little bit about baseball, a lot of life, because I've been through a lot in my life, good and bad. And I try to, if all I do is teach my players how to hit a ball, catch one, and throw one, I didn't do my job. So I try to tell them about life. As a matter of fact, about a month ago, maybe a little more, one of my players called me and said, something you told me years ago helped me get through this one particular thing. And that means everything to me. So the book is a bunch of stories of, things that have happened to me as a coach, as an assistant coach, as a head coach, some good things, some not so good things. One quick story. One time it was my first year at CMU. And, you want to set a precedent kind of thing. Let them, I tell them, I have two rules: care about the program and never disrespect. That's it.
Right.
Well, this one kid was always late. I said, if it has to do with school, that's fine. But you're late on a Saturday evening. So that's it. No more, Chris. He said, Coach, I'm sorry. You're right. I can't take being not that he was disrespecting me, but I just wanted him to know that this program is going to be different now.
Right.
So that's it. No more being late. Coach, I promise you. We have a game tomorrow. I'll be here on time. I said, okay. He beat me to the game. He was dressed and ready to go. I said, thank you. Appreciate it. So about 15 minutes later, I see this kid with a backpack, sandals, and cargo shorts and a Hawaiian shirt, I believe, something like that. Ugly shirt. And I lost it. He was at the doorway. He's about 6'4". I'm 5'6", 5'6.5" on a good hair day. So I snapped on him. I said, don't you ever do that to me. You come here early to show me that you're going to start listening and being on time. Then you go get undressed. I lost it, because I felt disrespected. Now I feel like you're messing with me. So I lost it. Right. This kid is just staring at me. That's it. And I'm losing it. Then I looked to my left. It was the player. He had a twin brother. I didn't know it was.
Oh, my gosh.
And my players let me go. This kid, I'm snapping and swearing on this kid. So, but there's a lot of good stories that show that if you care. Basically, the theme of the book I got from Dick Vermeil, the Italian Super Bowl winning coach for the Rams, good guy too, Hall of Fame coach. He said, your players won't care your players, your team, your people won't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's the theme.
That's right. Well, that's kind of the theme of this podcast. I started the podcast because students kept asking me for advice, and they're like, Miss Anna, you already know pieces of advice that we're always looking for. You seem to know a lot of information. Why don't you share it? And I was like, well, I don't know everything, but I do like to interview people that do know something. I do network with a lot of other instructors, a lot of other professionals that, have those life lessons that you talked about and how we can share those. And that's really what these athletic moments are about: dance, sports, all kinds of teams. It's those life lessons and things that we learn that are just not on the field, not on the dance floor, that we can take from those fields and dance floors into real life, right? Those life lessons really are what we're teaching.
Metaphor for life. How you deal with sports is almost pretty much how you're going to deal in life. And like I said, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm sure there's a few players, who aren't crazy about it, and that's fine. And then I even illustrate that in the book. You try to get through,
right?
So they at least, want to pull that rope, and I'll keep trying until, we make it work, and or at least raise it up a level. But again, it's communicating, being honest, and cutting through all the garbage. Just let's get to the point. This is who I am. This is who you are. This is what we have to do to get this team to the next level and get ourselves to the next level.
Claudio, you've given us so much to think about as being coachable and being a better coach, like things and tips and advice that you've given us today. We're all going to take note of and start journaling about it tonight, dancers. Start thinking about how you can be a better team player, right? And cross-train. If you're a player out there and you're listening, baseball or football or even swimmers out there, we've trained them all. Cross-train with dance and see how your abilities can really soar for sure. Claudio, I really appreciate you being on the dance floor today. I know we didn't dance today, but maybe you can come and see Allegro Dance Company. We're going to be at the Washington Wild Things. We're going to be performing on August 3rd at 7 p.m. right before the first pitch. So if you want to see dance and baseball collide again, come on out and get a ticket to the Wild Things in Washington, PA, and come see Allegro Dance Company perform August 3rd at 7 p.m.
My daughter teaches dance. She's been dancing since she was, a little girl, and she teaches dance. And among other, so yeah, she knows about your company. So you should interview her. She was all excited when I said I'm going to be on this show. Why are they interviewing you and not me?
We'll have to pass that on. She can be my next interviewer. Pass it on and have her come on for sure. Well, Claudio, gosh, I appreciate all of your advice and all of the life lessons that you shared. Where can we check out your book and your website?
It's my first and last name.com. Even if you spell it wrong, it'll somehow pop up. And that's ClaudioReilsono.com. And there you'll see the podcasts that I do, book, everything. So
fantastic.
ClaudioReilsono.com.
Perfect. I will include that information in the show notes, and people can just click on it, order your book, and listen to your wonderful podcast as well. Claudio, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for joining us on the dance floor.
I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm your host, Anna Harsh. And until next time, keep moving on the dance floor.